Hey everyone, welcome to the Owl House video. It feels weird having it all done. I've actually made it. I've been wanting to make this since before the release of Season 2B, honestly. And now it's finally here. I've gone through so many rewrites of it. It was originally much bigger than what it ended up being because it was just taking way too long. So don't think of this as the be-all end-all of the Owl House on my channel. It's more so just a big video talking about a bunch of stuff about the Owl House that's going to sort of start off a new era on the channel, basically. I don't really have much else to say for this intro, so here's the video. People complain about Season 1 being mostly filler and I don't understand this at all. The filler argument is really stupid. The two most important parts of storytelling are plot and characters. People seem to forget that second one. An episode focusing on characters rather than plot is not filler. This part of the video is focused on plot, but I think it's important to mention this now. Episodes like Once Upon a Swap, which people say has no plot relevance, has a bunch of character moments that lead to plot elements in later episodes. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna play a clip from my old video on that episode. We learned more about Ida and Lilith's past here, including that Ida originally wanted to join the Empress Coven. Little stuff like this is really important to make this scene in the finale not feel rushed or like it comes out of nowhere. Luz also learns about the Coven branding glove, which becomes extremely important later on. We also learn more about Basha and the power she has over the people she calls her friends, which, again, is something that needed to be set up for a future story, this time winged like witches. Her role in that episode was really important to show how Amity had grown as a person up to that point. We also get shown our first view of the Bonesboro Coven precinct, which is a pretty important location later on. These more character-focused episodes are important for the future, more plot-centric ones, since they let us know about who these characters are as people, which helps us to understand the actions they take in the future. And seeing them get up to random shenanigans makes their bonds more believable, so moments like this hit much harder. Another great thing is how the show is able to set things up through seemingly inconsequential things. In the first day, we get introduced to basilisks and their magic draining, so later we don't need a big explanation for when V is introduced in Season 2. The pacing of the story is also really great. Everything gets introduced at the perfect time. Episode 1 establishes our main characters and the core theme about embracing your true self and finding the people who understand you. Us weirdos gotta stick together is such a beautiful line. And the people who call it cringe have just completely missed the point. The same goes for episode 2, calling it cringe as missing the point. This is also the perfect place to establish the non-traditional fantasy story. As we move on, we continuously get introduced to new elements at the perfect time, such as new characters, new revelations about those characters, and more world building. The more general plot stuff, such as Luz enrolling in Hexside and hints towards the Emperor, are all placed in a perfect way. Nothing happens too late, nothing happens too soon, and everything builds up to that incredible finale. Now, everyone basically agrees that Season 2 is a massive improvement over Season 1, and I agree, but my views on Season 1 are already extremely high, so that should tell you how much I fucking love Season 2. Season 1 had to establish most of the show, and now that that's all done, there's more time to dedicate to fleshing out the world and the characters. Obviously, we still see new things, we get new characters, more world building, and most importantly, major explorations into our characters, their struggles, and their relationships. I want to mention the Titan in the room, that being the shortening. Dana Terrace has confirmed that Follies at the Coven Day Parade was the first episode written with the shorter Season 3 in mind, and honestly, if I just watched the show with no knowledge of what was happening behind the scenes, I wouldn't be able to tell. It's still structured so well. Watching Season 2B as it came out was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Although it was also one of the worst because Amphibia was going to absolute shit at the same time, but let's not worry about that right now! I've never been so engaged with watching a TV show live. It's honestly incredible how much they managed to put into those 11 episodes without it feeling rushed at all. I would have preferred if we had the full season 3 as originally intended and we had time for that beach day episode, but considering the situation Dana and the crew were in, I'm beyond impressed. But what's more impressive is how Season 3 was able to perfectly conclude this fantastic series in such a short runtime. Thanks to them, while mostly character focused, doesn't make the return of the Boiling Isles feel rushed. Many people don't like For the Future, and a strange amount of people even call it filler, and to those people, what the fuck are you talking about? This is just completely wrong. I don't even have anything to argue against because the shit people say is just completely false. It would be like arguing against someone who says that apples aren't fruit. And if we didn't get all this Hexside stuff, you people would be complaining that characters like Basha and Kikimoro were just ignored. So shut up! For the Future is a fantastic story that resolves a bunch of character arcs for the supporting characters, so the finale can keep its focus on the main characters of Luz, Ida, and King. And that finale might actually be my favorite episode in the history of television. Everything is wrapped up so beautifully. Everyone gets a satisfying end. Belos' defeat being a callback to the first scene of the show is just perfect. And with that, we can move on to what I'm sure you all know is my favorite aspect of all storytelling. So, characters. The Owl House has them, and they're really awesome. This is the part of the show I have the most to say about, so let's just start off with our 3 leads. Luz Norzeda and Ida and King Clawthorne. So Luz. Yeah, she's my favorite character in all of fiction. But why is that? Well, firstly, her personality. She's incredibly fun, sweet, and silly. And while yes, all that makes her super likable, it's the more deeper aspects of her that make me love her so much. A lot of people act like these elements didn't start showing until around mid-season 2, but it's there from the very first episode, where we see her being upset from feeling misunderstood, or episode 2 where she feels like Ida doesn't believe in her, or Agony of a Witch where she is so determined to stop Ida from dying, since she's already lost one parent and she can't bear the thought of losing another. Yes, the knowledge of her dad dying is something we learned later on, but I don't care, it still counts to me. Her overall arc is genuinely beautiful. I love how it's not really about her becoming a better person. It's about her learning to accept herself for who she is, and that she is a good person. And that her being what others consider to be a weirdo is not a bad thing. Starting out feeling unappreciated for who she is, feeling her mum doesn't love her. Then, season 1 goes on, she meets new people, like Ida and King, who won't judge her, learning the magic of the Titan, and proving that she is still just as capable of any other witch, despite her magic being unique from her peers, as well as the impact she has on the school, convincing Principal Bump to let the students study multiple tracks, letting students be who they want to be, instead of just what is expected of them, and the impact she has on the other students, like Willow and Gus and Amity. And then in season 2, we see her guilt building up. Her whole life, she's been attacked for being herself, so of course when the bad things happen, she's going to blame herself, resulting in her blaming herself for leading Belos to the Collector and causing all the horrible things that have happened. All ending in that beautiful finale where Puppet Titan brings her back to reality, telling her that she is a good person. Good people make mistakes. Good people can be manipulated. And good people are good because of what they do, why they do it, and who they are in their heart. Genuinely the most beautiful character arc I've ever seen. But it's not just her as a character on her own, but the many relationships she has. I absolutely love her and King. But I know someone who loves them even more than I do. So for the first time on this channel, I'm going to be giving the commentary over to a friend of mine. Everyone, say hello to Juliet.
The relationship between Luz and King is one of the emotional cores of the Owl House. The loving interactions between the two are immediately endearing, and over the course of the show, their bond is shown to be foundational to their arcs. Luz first meets King when they are both very set in their own escapist fantasies, King's being him as a tyrannical overlord, and Luz as her as a chosen one in a whimsical, simplistic world. They are both lonely and outcasted from the rest of their peers. King has never met someone of the same species and is dismissed by the wider world as a cute pet or a toy, while Luce is mocked and looked down on by her peers and adults alike. They both develop their escapist power fantasies to cope with their loneliness and loss of control, but those fantasies prevent them from making a genuine connection. While Luce loves King from the start, she, like everyone else, initially treats him as more of a pet to coo over, a simplistic sidekick in her own journey to learn magic. In The Intruder, she breaks through that view and listens to him as a real person, not a character in her fantasy. When she listens to his knowledge and works with him, only then is she able to find her very first glyph in one of the show's iconic moments. Her seeing King as a person and learning from him is symbolic of her journey of connecting with the Isles themselves, stepping outside of her idealistic vision and learning to listen to and learn from the world as it is. The importance of this connection is made even more clear when you learn King's dad is the Boiling Isles. When Luce meets with Papa Titan, he makes note of her connection with King as being a core reason he trusts her with his magic. At the same time as Luce is learning how to make genuine connection, so is King. The two run into conflict in Sense and Insensitivity, where he refuses to budge out of his own vision to work on a book together. With so little control in his life, he wants to dictate the small amount he can, but in this episode he realizes that doing so takes away from the genuine bonds he does have. This is the process by which he slowly starts to let go of his power fantasy, before his full disillusionment in Echoes of the Past, where Luce reassures him he is someone worthwhile on his own. The lessons he learns help him to grow into the person who makes a selfless sacrifice for Luce in King's Tide. By the time they reunite in Watching and Dreaming, both Luce and King are matured people ready to reach out to the Collector and work together to save the Isles. The light glyph moment that marked the start of their deeper bond and Luce's journey as a witch comes full circle at the very end of the show, where King discovers his own light glyph and excitedly shares it with her, connecting her to his magic once again as much more developed and secure people.
Now let's talk about King himself. I love him. He also has an incredible arc, starting out as just a silly comic relief, and as season 1 goes on, we see him bond with Luz. People hate on really small problems for reasons I will never understand. This episode is amazing for his arc, and it's not just his bond with Luz, but his relationship with Ida that I love. Echoes of the Past is fucking phenomenal. It has great world building, atmosphere, and character growth. It also has this scene.
Ida was right, wasn't she? I was never king of anything. I'm nobody.
You are somebody, and I love that somebody very much. I'm sorry I lied about what I believed.
Everyone lied. And I was too caught up in the fantasy to realize it. I don't know what to do, Luce. I can't tell what's real and what's fake.
Sorry Gravity Falls fans. King is Alex Hirsch's best voice performance. This was a big turning point, not just for King, but the whole show. This is when we really started to get into the deeper story elements. The mystery of King's past builds up for the rest of the series. King learning the truth of his past, and how Ida was the first person to really be there for him. Leading up to him being like, fuck you, I'm your legal son now. We're family forever, and there's nothing you can do about it. But then there's Edge of the World. Oh my Titan! This episode. King thought his entire life was a lie in Echoes of the Past, but that was absolutely nothing compared to finally learning who he is. A Titan, the son of THE Titan, and now he doesn't know who he is, or how to feel about it. O Titan, where art thou is honestly perfection. Pairing King up with Steve, who had been shown to regret working for the Emperor's Coven and now didn't know what he really wanted in life at the same time as King, was honestly genius. Now Ida, an incredible character with a lot of depth. Let's start with her personality. Right from the first episode, you know almost all the core aspects of who she is. We know she's a bit silly, she doesn't like following the rules, she does what she wants instead of what society wants, but we also learn that she's incredibly caring. She's willing to deal with Warden Wrath and risk being locked up in the Conformatorium if it meant King could get his silly Burger Queen crown. As the story goes on, we learn more crucial aspects of her past, and how these events have made her into who she is today. This ties back to my praise of the pacing of Season 1. In The Intruder, we learn about her curse and how it affects her. One thing I didn't realize until literally right now as I'm writing this script, is that right after the episode where we learn about her curse, we get the episode Convention. which introduces her sister Lilith, who would later be revealed to be the one who cursed her. That's such a cool detail. I love seeing her grow more and more fond of Luz. She starts out not really caring about her, then when she sees how down Luz felt in Witches Before Wizards, she starts going out of her way to help her, which then leads to her actually wanting to help Luz learn magic. She sees what an incredible person Luz is, and how much Luz has made her life better, bringing us to the scene in Agony of a Witch, which is just impossible not to cry at.
Alright, kid. Listen to me. I'm going away, and I don't know if I can bounce back this time. Watch over King. Remember to feed Hootie.
Please, no!
And Luz, thank you for being in my life.
Then there's season 2, where we see more of her insecurities about whether she deserves losing King. I love that this is when Rain is introduced. I think it's really great that right as she's going through feeling like her current family with Luz and King might leave her, she reunites with someone who she used to be very close with, but unfortunately drifted away from. Ida's Requiem is such a good episode. Again, I love that ending where King is just like, fuck you, I'm your son now. Seeing her grow so close to losing King over the series is beautiful, and seeing how protective she becomes towards them towards the end of season 2 is just heartbreaking. She can't bear to lose them. She makes sure they're as far away from the danger as possible. I love that they do this. Even after she stops hiding the truth of the situation from Luz, she still doesn't send them into any danger. It's great that the show remembers that these two are children, and has their parental figure actually not be okay with just sending them directly into danger.
Whoever wrote that letter was sending them on a wild Luz chase. Oh, no, don't cry. Oh, the joke wasn't that bad, was it?
Oh, this is so much bigger than I imagined, Lily. I thought Luz was just some lost kid, but because of me, she's wrapped up in this thing with Belos, and it's just not fair. She and King are children. They shouldn't have to deal with this.
Oh my Titan, the way Wendy Malick delivered that line, it just breaks my heart. Finally, we have season 3, where she is finally able to accept that, yes, Luz and King are her family, and she deserves their love. She is worthy of that happiness, and now she gets to teach a whole new generation of witches, just like how she had taught Luz. So that's the Owl family, or at least the main 3 Owl family. I adore them. The love they have for each other, and how they all help each other grow as people and get through difficult times is wonderful. But there are still many other characters to talk about. We've talked about the protagonists. Now, let's move on to the antagonist. I'm not joking when I say Belos is my favorite antagonist of any piece of storytelling. Here's why. I love the build-up to his reveal. Throughout season 1, we get little hints towards this mysterious Emperor of the Boiling Isles. It keeps you engaged, excited to finally see him, and when we do get introduced to him in Agony of a Witch, he immediately makes an impact of how intimidating he is. A big part of his intimidation comes from Matthew Rye's performance. He's genuinely unsettling.
Unsuccessful, that was obvious enough. It's been a little over a month since you promised to bring me the owl lady. Well, where is she?
He's super well written with a great backstory. For some reason, people complain about us not seeing more of the stuff with him and Caleb. Guys, do you not know who the main character of the show is? It's Luz. This is her show. It's about her, not the white guy. We see just enough of his backstory that we need to. It's honestly fitting that his backstory doesn't get much exploration. The one thing he wanted was for everyone to know him and his story. So why should he get over the attention over the girl that isn't a psychopath who wants to commit genocide? I love how much the finale just shits on him. He's no one special. He's just a pathetic piece of shit who doesn't deserve the attention his ego-driven self desires so much. And like I said, the backstory we do get is awesome. I love the real-life history tied to it, with him being a British fuck in colonized America. And while I don't know if this was intentional or was just cause it's where Dana Terrace herself was born, it's cool that they chose to have him be from Connecticut, where they actually had witch trials. So yeah, great antagonist. Alright, let's get into more amazing characters now. Starting with Amity. There's a really stupid idea that Amity has no real character outside of being Luz's girlfriend, and no, that's just objectively false. She is a constant character arc separate from Luz across the whole show. Another thing I see is that she seems like a completely different character by the end. And like, yeah, that's what a character arc is. It's not like Amity just randomly has a character shift between episodes out of nowhere. We see her gradual growth from being a bully who does the things she does to get the approval of her terrible parents, rather than doing what she wants, and then through Luz's influence starts to show off more of her true self. We learn more about her life in episodes like Lost in Language, and especially understanding Willow. I really like that Willow doesn't immediately forgive Amity, and she has to learn to come to terms with what she did. And then over season 2, we see her not only show more of her true self through actions like dyeing her hair the color she wants, and hanging out with Luz, Willow, and Gus more despite her parents not approving of it. We also see her actually standing up to her parents, standing up for herself when Odalia tries to control her, and calling out Alador for never actually being there for her. Again, like Willow, I love that Amity does not forgive Alador. Just because he shows willingness to be better doesn't mean he deserves forgiveness. Even if he does actually change, Amity, Edric, and Emira still have no obligation to forgive him. I also really like this detail of Alador reaching in to hug her, but she stops him to make it just a handshake. Her arc reaches its climax in that scene in Clouds of the Horizon, where she yells at Odalia.
Since we've finished with that little mess, let's get back to business, shall we? You! I am never speaking to you again.
And I love that they stick to this. Odalia didn't disappear from the show, but nope, Amity never speaks to her again. So yes, she does have a character outside of being Luz's girlfriend. Next, let's talk about the master illusionist and giraffe lover, Gus Porter. Gus is an awesome character who I really wish we got more of. He doesn't have that big of an arc, at least when compared to other characters. That's not to say he doesn't have any growth though, and I'm not just talking about physical growth. Why am I laughing at that? That wasn't even funny. Through the Looking Glass Ruins is an episode people like to joke about just being the big bye episode with Lumity and Gustolomew. And yeah, that is kind of true, but Gus's arc is what really shines. Although for some reason it goes over many people's heads, I cannot count the amount of people who seem to claim that the show itself makes Gus look weak. Back when I was involved with the Owl House fandom a lot, I saw this so much. You guys realize Bria is the one who said illusions are weak. You know? The one who's in the wrong? And Gus proves that at the end of the episode? Anyway, let's get back to things that are actually true. So yeah, I like this episode for showing how Gus being seen as a child prodigy has led him to feeling a lot of pressure to be a great witch, and him learning that what makes a great witch is not up to anyone else except himself. If illusions are how he sees himself being a great witch, then that's what he's gonna do. He's also just a very funny character.
Because we are gonna have our own moonlight conjuring. Are you serious? This was on my bucket list. After owning a real human bucket.
We've got snacks. We've got weird music.
We've got a bucket! Yes, my man.
And he's just the absolute greatest friend ever, especially to Willow. There's so many wonderful moments between them. Willow is also a great character with a wonderful arc. Like many characters, it's about self-acceptance, moving past bullies like Boscha and becoming the witch she wants to be through things like joining the plant track and starting the Flyer Derby team. Episodes like Understanding Willow and Any Sport in a Storm do a great job showing the different sides of her that she'd been holding back for so long. And of course, there's For the Future, where she finally gets to lay out everything she's feeling instead of constantly repressing her emotions, because she believes she needs to be strong to protect her friends. This scene is just so wonderful, and I love the way Hunter cares for her here. And Hunter, in general, is also, I'm sound like a broken record, but say it with me now, he's another great character with a great arc. Seeing him learn about his past, what he is, and how it all affects him mentally is amazing. A lot of people take issue with him not being there for Belos' defeat, but the people saying that to me are missing the point of this scene, and thanks to them. This was him standing up against Belos. This was his moment. Giving him two big moments standing against him would just feel like poor pacing. Plus, you know, he's not the main character, loses. She's the one that should get the big moment in the finale. His arc was over once he realized Flapjack was still with him through their phasing abilities. Also, no, he doesn't have all magic like other witches. I can't believe I have to say this, but for some reason I've seen people actually say this. Also, yeah, he and Willow are adorable. I think a big part of why I love Hunter so much is because of Zeno Robinson's performance.
What did you do to the other guards? To our family? It wasn't wild magic, was it? He knows. He knows we were in there. I can't go back.
Kid, breathe.
These scenes would be nowhere near as impactful without Zeno Robinson. One thing I don't think a lot of people talk about in his performance is this scene.
Oh, no. Just my imagination playing tricks again. Why don't you find the Titan blood while I find my talisman? Little guy got spooked off.
It's still Hunter's voice, but the way he's speaking feels almost identical to how Matthew Rye's voices Bellows.
The trees there are green, nights are quiet. I look forward to seeing it again.
And this goes for Aviv Rogue too.
Rain's always been annoyingly powerful. No, I think I'll keep you around a little longer.
Speaking of Rain, that's about it. They're a good character, even outside their relationship with Ida. They're both a super sweet, gentle soul, and also a fucking badass whose music is absolute peak.
Huh?
Camila and V are wonderful. If you ever said Camila was abusive, I hope the power of your house goes out permanently. I love how in the first episode she's shown kneeling down to be on Luz's level when talking to her, which is contrasted with the, I don't know, social worker? I don't know who this guy's supposed to be. But he's shown towering over her by weaponizing her own struggles that she faced as a child. This whole dream sequence is a wonderful look into Camila's psyche. Camila was always incredibly loving of her daughter, and her love is best shown in For the Future.
I had a hard time growing up. I was afraid you would too. My biggest mistake was trying to protect you by changing this beautiful, good witch into something she wasn't.
And she loves both her daughters. V is just so precious. I love this little moment in Yesterday's Lie.
Hello? This is all so confusing, but who knew I had such a strong girl living under my roof this whole time?
It's just astronomically heartwarming. And between her and Amethyst, Michelle Dietz just has a thing for shattering my heart by making me feel awful for her characters. At this point, I'm just sort of speedrunning through characters I don't have as much to say about. I love Lilith, she's cool. I like her little arc at the end of season 1 and start of season 2. Her and Hootie's friendship is super sweet. And speaking of the titular character, Hootie! Again, there's not much to say, but he's not really meant to be that deep. He's just there for the funny. There's also the Collector, who I also quite like. I never understood the people who thought he wouldn't be redeemed. Like, that was always obviously gonna happen. But yeah, great character, and I love he and King's friendship. Finally, I of course have to mention Edric and Emra. They're cool, that's it. They're just cool. And if you look back at my older thumbnails, you can see my channel was once themed around them. Now, there are other characters, but what the fuck am I supposed to say about, I don't know, Gilbert Park? Let's move on. I've been fucking recording for almost half an hour. Oh, wait, no, almost 40 minutes. Shit. And it's not summer anymore. It's still Australia. It's still super hot. And I can't turn my fan on because then the fan noise is gonna mess up my mic audio. So that's annoying. So I'm just sweating so hard. Ah, fuck. This show has some incredible music. Let's start with TJ Hill's score. Obviously, he created the amazing intro and outro themes, which are both just absolutely incredible. But other than a few other tracks like the Grom fight, I don't have that much to say about the Season 1 soundtrack. Although there is the end credits of Watching and Dreaming, which was done by TJ Hill, and that's one of the best tracks in the show. It's a big reason why I sob like a baby whenever I watch this episode. Now, no disrespect to TJ Hill, I still love his music, and especially in Amphibia, but Brad Breek's score for Season 2 is just a huge step up from Season 1. So many incredible tracks. I also love how the music is used within the scenes. A great example of this is something that I only just noticed on this rewatch, and it's this scene from Hollow Mind.
It's you! Kid Bellows!
What?
Thank you for helping us before. You don't seem nearly as scary as your inner self.
The music playing here is the part of Bellows' theme that always plays when he's putting on that fake nice guy persona.
Is it true that rain doesn't boil in the human realm?
It is. You know, I've been there before. Did I ever tell you that? There is one more thing I'd like to share with you. I've always hidden my face out of fear, but because of your support, I can finally take off this mask. So, if you were paying attention to the music, you would be able to tell right there, right from the start of the episode, that this is Bellows manipulating Luz and Hunter before it's actually revealed. That's so cool to me. In Season 3, Brad Breek was joined by Andrew Morgan Smith, and this season has some of the best music in the entire show. Oh my Titan, this music brings tears to my eyes. I love it so much. Now let's talk visuals. Alongside the beautiful backgrounds of the show is some incredible animation. The lighting and the colors in this show are so goddamn beautiful. And of course, the incredible fight scenes. The fluidity and weight of the characters' movements made my jaw drop almost every time I saw them for the first time. But the fandom unfortunately doesn't understand what makes good animation. Most of them seem to only think animation good when high frame rate. The biggest victim of this is the episode Clouds on the Horizon. 1.5 years later and people are still seriously acting like this had a budget cut to its animation outside of the Lumity kiss? This is just idiotic. That's not how this shit works. And it's not even the best animation in the episode. But no, animation is bad because of one very basic slide that was very clearly simple for comedic effect. And Hunter looks funny in this shot if you zoom in super close, but the shot looks completely fine if you view it the way you're supposed to. Sorry if I've been complaining about fans too much in this video. I just hate our house fans sometimes. Anyways, we're nearly done! Yay! The Owl House is the most important show in my entire life. I cannot think of a single show that's had a bigger impact on my life than this. I guess maybe Doctor Who? Kind of. That's been a big part of my life for a while, but I don't think it's had as big an impact as the Owl House did. When I first saw the Owl House, it was June 2021. A few months after I'd realized I was bisexual. And then I watched the show with the bi lead. Because I heard, oh, bi lead, that's me, I'm a bi. So I watched it and I fell in love with it instantly. And then I found more shows, like Amphibia, The Ghost of Mother McGee, Gravity Falls, Infinity Train, Dead and Paranormal Park, Steven Universe, so many. And I met so many amazing people I can now call my friends. I've grown so much on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for over half my life, and now because of the Owl House, I've actually found some success from it. And I have, and like, obviously you can tell how much I love the show. I'm wearing a fucking Eda jacket. I've got all these plushies as well. Oh man. And there is some. I have more Owl House merch around somewhere. Hold on. I had a book or something. Hold on. Where is it? Not the one I was looking for. I was looking for the excellent Tales from Boiling Arizona, but I have this. It's a bloody picture book version of Witches Before Wizards. It's a book for fucking 5-year-olds. But I don't care. It's Owl House, so I got it. Oh man. And that's the thing, like, I just love it all, Owl House. And it's not just the whole thing with it's making me, oh look, I have heaps of friends and YouTube success now. It's also that it's helped me to explore my sexuality and my gender identity, and also myself as a neurodivergent person with autism and ADHD. And helped me find that a really positive online community with that. I'm tired. Probably the biggest part though of what got me to love the show so much is Luce herself. I've already talked about why I love her so much, why she's my favorite character of all time, and I'm going to continue to talk about why she's my favorite character of all time in future videos. But I think there's a lot of stuff I left out originally. Like, there's a lot of really incredible things, like this scene in Thanks to Them, where Camila's watching over her different, like, video journals. Like, the way it all sort of impacts on her, like, seeing her emotions, how her life is going, how her dad's death impacted her, and then how much joy Good Witch Azora brought into her life. And it's similar to me, like I didn't like lose any parents or anything around when I watched the Owl House first time, but like I was in a very bad mental state, and I still do suffer from some mental health issues, but it's honestly, the Owl House has been a big part in helping me work through my problem, my emotions. It's seriously benefited my life. Like, honestly, I'm gonna be fucking real here. I think there's a pretty good chance that I may not even be here without the Owl House. I know lots of people say stuff like that, and it's all like, oh, yeah, whatever, okay, that's exaggerating. But no, I'm being serious. I honestly think there is a chance, even if it was just a small one, that I would not be here I would not be here without the Owl House. Oh man. And I know, again, I didn't talk about everything. There's a lot of stuff I skipped over. I didn't talk about every character. I left out some, like Kikimora, Kikimora, or Darius, Boscha, etc. And a few others, whatever. But, shut up, dog. I'm trying to record. Fuck off. Okay, but back to being more serious about the Owl House. So, I know this is just me rambling now. It's not really anything, but I think probably to end this whole thing, I need to talk about the most important scene to me in the whole show.
I think I just realized something. I don't know why it took me so long to figure out. The only thing I've ever really wanted was to be understood.
This... I just have no words. Everything is perfect. Fighting, music, animation, Serenoko Robles, all perfect. And it was that moment when I watched that scene for the first time. God, last year. It was then that I realized that the Owl House truly is the most important show to me. It's the show that changed my life. And I will always love it for that. My name's Dr. Lemington. I hope you enjoyed my video. Like and subscribe to make me smile. And I'll see you later.